Okay. How many people?
112. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Zoom room. I'm admitting my friends into the Zoom room. What is up, you guys? Hi. All right. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us on this day of the week we're having here. It is a Thursday once again. Hi, guys. We've expanded our Zoom space so that we can fit even more people than ever before, which is thrilling. Thank you for
More
joining
than
us.
100.
Yeah. Yeah. So many of you guys. Okay. Hi. Hello, Bill. Hi, Bob. Hi, Jessica. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Dawn. So nice to see y'all. Okay. So in the chat is where, hi, my name is Siobhan. I'm just letting everyone in. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Okay. So let's get going because we can, and I'll just continue to admit folks. Thanks for joining us.
Siobhan, Siobhan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, Siobhan.
Hey, David.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I was on. Cool. Hey, hi, everyone. Hey. So we'd capped this at 100 before.
Yes.
Right? We were capped at 100 in previous Ask Me Anythings.
Correct. And so this is our first time with more than 100 people.
So that's great. We're well above that right now.
Yes.
Fun. There are a lot of you on it. Cool.
So welcome.
Yeah, very cool.
Hi, Mel. Yay. Okay. At work, so not able to be on video. That is okay. But the chat is where it's at. Hi, Danielle from Atlanta. Dawn, welcome. So great. So I feel like we've all been doing this lifestyle for 10 weeks now. So people probably are familiar with the Zoom room. Just in case you're not, your chat is going to be, if you click the chat at your bottom menu, it's going to pop up on your right. If you are on a computer, if you're on an iPad or a phone, it's going to kind of be pop up, which is less than ideal, but we'll make it work. You might be just more of a listener, and that's cool. This is good, a good event to listen to. Also, your name is, you can choose however you want to be called. And if you want to change your name, you can click the little, the ellipses in your right-hand corner, and you can rename yourself, and then we know how to refer to you when we answer your question, or maybe unmute you if we need more clarification for your question. Everybody's already being champions. Thanks for saying hello and where you're from. Some of you are all at work and just listening in, and thanks for making us part of your work day. Hopefully it's a positive one for you. And to that end, we are here to bring some positive community space into your lives. We know we're all working through a lot of stuff right now, and so we just want to be a space where we can all get together as a community and talk about all things VO and answer questions all things VO, and be a place where we can communicate in a positive way. Here at Edge Studio, we have a few things going down. We have a sale actually on private coaching sessions. So you can join us. Sorry, I'm just continuing to let people in. So I'll actually drop these links for you right here. We have a $25 off of coaching for anybody at all in our repertoire of coaches that we have. We are also teaching an Audacity webinar for folks who are curious about using Audacity in their lives. It's $50 for an amazing 2-hour session. And then we have a demo package sale with David himself, who is our Chief Edge Officer, i.e. CEO at the studio. And this is David. He is to my left in my Zoom squares. Not sure if he's in that place for you, but David, hello, and thanks for being with us today. How are you?
Hello. Yeah. Siobhan, thanks so much. Hey, I see some people waiting. Hello, everyone. Yeah, cool. This is our 5th Ask Me Anything. Is that right?
That's right. That is right. And yes. Can you hear me, David?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm having an internet issue. But yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Uh-oh, that's not good. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys thumbs up if you hear me?
Can you guys hear David? Okay. It's like okay for me.
Loud and clear, David.
Loud and clear. Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
you know what? I think there is about a 3-second delay, which
Well, maybe it will catch up.
Siobhan, I think there's a 3-second delay.
Did you say that twice?
Maybe. Or maybe everyone else is just ahead in time, you know? You guys are so far ahead of the curve.
I
You're
think
like you're in the future. I'm in the present.
You're going to love it.
Zoom is these days that it predicts what's going to happen and plays it before it actually happens.
it's very
So
exciting. Thanks for all the affirmations. And he's breaking up at times. Yeah. But maybe we'll catch up. So it's good. I think I've got y'all muted. As I think people are familiar with, it's super helpful when folks who aren't speaking are muted. I will be muting myself when I am less vocal. But so hopefully that will solve it. And then I'm also just admitting people like crazy. Okay. So the way we pretty much do this is people just drop questions into our chat, and we kind of take them as they come. If we've already had you, if we've already answered one of your questions, we might not come back to you again. If your question is similar to someone else's, you understand how these things flow. But basically, we just kind of rapid fire talk about anything and everything, VO related, of course. And so if you've got questions, and I think there's already coming in, and I'm just making sure that I mute people, then let's get this going. So David, I've got a question from Victoria. Hey, Victoria, what's up? How are you? She's saying, what is the most important piece of advice that David can give to a complete newbie to the VO business? It's a good start. Good way to begin.
before I answer that, I just want to understand if you guys can hear me or not.
You look and sound marvelous.
Okay. Did someone say I sound marvelous? Siobhan, give me a thumbs up or let me know what's going on, because I think that there's something going on with my internet.
There might be. It might be.
I think everyone should turn off their videos.
I don't know that the video has
The
anything.
videos should not make a difference the way I'm on the internet.
David,
Yeah, am I breaking up?
Because
when
it
I
uses
speak,
less
or
width,
am I
so maybe
clear?
it'll be
Even if there's a
easier.
delay.
David, yeah, David, go. Just go ahead, and we'll let you know.
David, you are breaking up.
Okay. So I might call in from my phone. I'm not sure. Let's try it. And if there are any other issues, I'll call in from my phone. The most important one piece of advice for someone who is completely new, I would say, given one piece of advice, is to really understand sort of a two-part. I'm going to give you part 1A and part 1B. It's to really understand what is accurate in the industry, to really understand the foundation of the industry. And the second part to that would be that most people in this industry, regardless of how successful they are, tend to talk from one perspective. They talk from the perspective that has helped them proceed. They talk about the microphone that makes them sound good, or the kind of client that they have been hired by, the kind of training they received that worked for them, but it won't necessarily work for you. You need to understand what works for you. Actually, perhaps I can summarize it by saying you need to best figure out how your voice fits into the industry, and likewise how the industry can fit into your voice. It's like a partnership, your voice and the industry, and understanding that relationship. I'm trying to summarize this now. So the relationship between your voice and the industry, and what is true in the industry. So not taking, listening to everyone's advice, but taking it with a grain of salt, and I guess working with someone who can really help you figure out where your voice fits in the industry. That would be my one piece of advice. That was not so eloquent. I apologize. And hopefully I'm not breaking up anymore.
I think that was clear for me. I've got.
You're good, David.
I've got from, I think it's Linda. She is asking, here we go. Okay, when posting on VO casting sites, do I post separate takes and submit the most appropriate one, or do I need a demo with lots of different reads?
It depends on the job. It depends on the client. It depends on the online casting site. You know, like Voice123 typically takes samples, like individual snippets, whereas other online casting sites tend to take full demos. With respect to the auditions, some clients specify whether or not they want multiple takes and some don't. It really depends on the situation. There's not a one rule fits all, which really goes along with the answer from my previous question, or your previous question, right? You know, that there's a time and place for everything. What works for one person or what works in one circumstance doesn't necessarily work in every circumstance.
Yeah, it's quite a range in the casting, in those casting sites for what they're looking for. I've got Joyce here, who is also new to
I
VO.
will throw in that. Oh, sorry, the delay is so hard to work with. Sorry.
Yeah.
I will throw in that a lot of voice actors will upload multiple takes, and all too often the takes are so similar that it's a waste of our time when we're casting, and that is a pain in the rear end. So if you do upload multiple takes, make sure they are different. They each offer something unique to your voice. They should all work within the regards of doing what the client specifies. But if you can show a range within that, that would be optimal. But again, avoid a situation where you upload 2 or 3 takes of nearly identical audio. Please do that, everyone. Please avoid that.
I've got from Joyce, I'm new to VO. There's a hell of a lot of new information, terminology, shortcuts I'm being immersed in all at once. Is there something that I can search, study, identify what all this information is and how it fits? It's overwhelming at times.
I think you need to work with someone who can better organize the information for you. I think that's the problem. There's not a lot of information to learn. Sorry, let me reframe that. There is certainly information to learn, but compared to any other industry that I've ever come across, there's a lot less in voiceover. I mean, you know, the complete opposite would be becoming a lawyer when you have 8 years of legal training, or a doctor with 8 or 12 years of training. There's not a lot compared to some of these other industries, some of these other careers, but certainly there's some stuff to learn. And I think if you work with someone who can lay out the information in a clear way, in an organized manner, it should not be overwhelming. So I don't know. I would just work with someone else. Work with me if you want, or someone. But you do have to learn the stuff so you can communicate with clients and so on. So you look professional, and so you can work professionally. But otherwise, it shouldn't take that long to learn this stuff. I hope I answered that question okay.
I've got John Blackwell. Hi, John. He says, I have a couple of projects for student projects, and then I never heard from them, even if I replied to them through Backstage or email. These are unpaid gigs, but I still want the project copy. Is there anything I can do to make sure they follow through with giving the project with my VO on it? I'm walking on eggshells because I don't want to piss them off, but I do want. So it sounds like, John, you've done some recordings with some kind of independent freelancers, and they are not responding to your emails. This happens. David, what's your best strategy for this kind of problem?
Yeah, so this happens a lot because clients notoriously don't get back to you with samples, and every voice actor wants a sample for their own demos and their own website. And it's great, by the way. It's fantastic to put snippets of paid work on your site. It suggests to a client that you are, and it indicates to a client that you're actually out there working. You are professional. So do what you can to get those samples. So I guess on the biggest question is weighing or balancing pissing off and bettering your website. And I would say on one hand, of course, you never want to piss off the client, but if they're never going to hire you again, and it was not even a paid job, it sounds like, but if you will never work for them again, then go after them, but maybe do it in a way that is helpful. Begin by giving them a compliment, saying, look, it was great working with you. Your direction was great, or your script was well written, or give them some compliment, or send them lunch or something if it's important to you. We at Edge Studio go through the exact same thing. We have a very large casting and production department, and we need to get samples of the work that we do to put onto our portfolio. And the same thing happens, that we just are not given samples. So if it's a good sample, if it's a project that we've worked on that we really do want to highlight on our website, we'll do anything we can to get a bit of that, you know, a link to the client's video and so on. And yeah, that sometimes that has been, look, you know, I'll trade you the link for lunch. And it works. People like free lunch. I wanted to say, though, also, if something is in the public domain, I believe, I'm not certain about this, but I believe that you can use it on your website. This is friendly advice, not legal advice. This is being recorded, so everyone hears me saying not legal advice. But unless you've signed an NDA of some sort, unless the client has put into words that you cannot use the audio, and again, if it is in the public domain, I assume you can use it. Third time I'm saying it, I'm not a lawyer and I don't know for sure, but a lot of voice actors take that sort of, that liberty and say, yeah, you know, it's out there on YouTube, it's in the public domain, and I'll just put a link to it on my own website, or I'll copy it onto my website. If you have signed an NDA with a client, don't touch it. Leave that stuff alone. There's a reason for it. And then you become liable, of course, if you use it. In the case of this this job, yeah, if it's a freebie, it's done by students. You know, think back when you were a student. Perhaps you were not so keen to follow up with someone. So give a call, offer free lunch, do what you can.
I also want to say, if people resonate with anything that anyone is saying, it would be our preferred method to be at an actual mixer where everybody can hang out and talk, like we've had several times at our studio. But since we can't actually mingle because of the way that the life and the internet is, if maybe you resonate with something someone's saying, or if you've been in the situation that John is speaking to, totally feel free to please drop it in the chat. Like, this is what I did in this situation, or, you know, whatever. Like, you might have some insights that, you know, David, that in addition to what David's offering. So with that, I'm kind of, I know I'm like plowing through, but I kind of want to answer as many folks as I can get to today. And so I've got Sandra Espinoza, and she's saying, working non-union professionally for about 8 years now. Good for you. What kind of planning should I be making for the future in terms of retirement savings, insurance, etc.? Are there specific programs I should be investing in to protect myself later in life?
You know, as a paid financial advisor, no, I'm kidding. I know voiceover. I can direct. I can't tell you about your finances. I can say that I know a number of voice actors who have insurance on their voice, and like a hand model may have insurance on their hand, and something like that. But beyond that, if I understand the question correctly, there's not much more I can offer. If you are more asking about looking toward the future and where this industry is going and how you can better prepare yourself to change as the industry changes, then I would strongly encourage you to stay in close communication with professional studios and people who are really like out there doing this on a, you know, in a different capacity. People like myself and Edge Studio who are working with clients who the trends every single, because we have such a large casting department. So we know the types of work that are coming in. I see the genres in the voiceover industry which seem to be growing more quickly than other genres. I see the genres which seem to be slowing down. And, you know, on one side, that's helpful when we help a student through recording their demo, because we have a grasp on the type of work to put on a demo, so they get more work. But if you're not in that capacity at this moment, then do so. Like, read articles, current trends. but read these things not from the perspective of other voice actors, but read them from the perspective of clients. So look at what's going on in the corporate world and in the film and production world, and what are marketing agencies doing and advertising agencies doing these days, and what are social media firms doing? How are these companies utilizing voiceover? So learn from that side of the glass, so to speak, and maybe that can help you better predict where to go in, or how to better stay in this industry until you do want to retire. I hope that's helpful.
I've got a question from Danielle. I've completed a pay-as-you-go voiceover course and completed my 2 demos. What's next to do, and do you recommend more training after demos?
Yeah, well, in terms of training, you should never stop training. The greatest athletes still have coaches, and musicians still have coaches, and so on, or producers, and yeah, you can always get better without question. That's what I have found. And so work with someone. And the nice thing is, once you have your demos and you're out there working, you don't need a session necessarily every week, but once a month, just to brush up. It's amazing how often voice actors come back to me and say, I've been at this for 20 years and my work's starting to fade away. And I listen to them read and I say, well, yeah, it sounds like you have an accent or some weird popping P or something. And they say, you know what? That makes sense because I visited this country for 6 months, or this other thing happened with my mouth at my dentist or something. And we start to, answer questions as to why their work is decreasing. So if you stay on top of your coaching, on top of your training, then I think you definitely mitigate the chance that you start losing clients to a new crop of voice actors, of younger voice actors. And more importantly, then you continue gaining work and typically being able to charge more money when you do have clients. Another reason I would say to continue training is so you can offer clients more variety. So if you're very skillful in, let's say, nonfiction audiobooks, well, maybe with some training, you can also offer your clients fiction. And so you could expand your repertoire, the services you provide to a client. Siobhan, what was the other part of that question? The first part, I forgot. In addition to just, should you continue with training?
The other part is
what to do next. I remember. Sorry. So if you have completed training and you have your demos, it's time to get out there and work. In one word, work. And so really what that means is make sure your home studio is up to snuff. If it's not, you can, I'm happy to check the audio quality and make sure you're marketing. And marketing entails having a website and using online casting sites or agents or reaching out to clients directly. So yeah, marketing, home studio, all the typical stuff. That's what I would suggest.
From Danielle. We got you, Danielle. So we are on Drew. Hi, David. He says, I'm 22. I've recently completed a character demo and I'm excited to look for work. I've spent a couple of years doing work through online sites, but I'm ambitious to get more professional work. How do I know where to send my demo?
That question doesn't really make sense. If you've been working through the online casting sites, then I'm not sure what you mean by more professional work, because the work that comes through the online casting sites should be professional work. Maybe you're talking about lower paid jobs, maybe through some of the sites that generally, not always, but generally pay less, like Fiverr.com and things of that nature. I'm not sure what you mean by more professional jobs, but if you are specializing in character work, if you want, maybe you mean that you want national commercials on TV. So maybe you need to hit some agents. I would need a bit more detail to really answer the question. I'm not sure if you're looking to expand into animation work or video game work. Animation is quite different than character work. A character is when you affect your voice to sound like someone else, something that exists in real life. Whereas animation is adding life, or adding voice rather, to something that doesn't speak in real life. So I'm not sure if you're trying to transition into animated production. So again, without more detail, it's a little hard to answer that question. I apologize.
And we do, it's not posted yet because we've just finished kind of working on the branding today, but we do have a an agency class coming up in June. So keep your eyes on our socials for the announcement for that class. And that might be something for you, Drew, that could be really helpful. It's not, because it sounds like you do need an agent after a couple of years. I've got Andrea. Hello. What is your advice? This is a technical or a skills-based question. What is your advice for eliminating choppiness during a read?
That is a fantastic question, because choppy voice actors, meaning voice actors who don't connect their words together smoothly, are not often preferred by casting teams for sure. It's, in fact, I'd say of the tens of thousands of voice actors who we've hired at Edge, and therefore the tens of thousands of auditions that we've gone through with clients, one of the biggest reasons, and possibly the biggest reason, that a voice actor is not hired is because they are choppy. Let me clarify one thing. Obviously, the number one reason someone wouldn't be hired is if their voice is not right for the project. If the client's looking for a young male and an elderly sounding female auditions, they probably won't get the job. But once the client has an audition of someone who has the right type of voice, yeah, one of the biggest reasons that they wouldn't be hired is because they are choppy. And clients use all different synonyms for choppiness. They may say, yeah, the good voice on this person, but they're not smooth, they're staccato, their voice is disjointed, however it is that the client summarizes it. This is a big thing, so it's a great question you ask, as I said. So it's imperative that you kind of look at a script and organize the words for the listener. Figure out which words belong together, and make sure you put them together so you don't pause between them. So sometimes you can take a sentence in the script, you record it, and you listen back, and you realize that you have 3 little pauses in it. Well, then ask yourself, you say to yourself, well, if I was the copywriter, would I have put commas in that sentence where I paused? And you'll probably say, no, I wouldn't put the comma in if I was the copywriter. You might say, I wouldn't put the comma in because if I did, it would look disconnected. Well, if you read it with a comma, it will sound disconnected. So take that same principle as the copywriter uses to your voice. If it makes sense to pause between phrases, then pause. If it doesn't make sense, then don't pause, then connect the words. Along those lines, a lot of voice actors tend to be overly dramatic. It's another reason why voice actors often are not hired. And very often in the realm of trying to be theatrical and melodramatic, we hear auditions with lots of dramatic pauses. And most of the time, dramatic pauses are too dramatic. I would say 9 out of 10 times, you will probably sound better without a dramatic pause than you will with the dramatic pause. And a simple exercise to do when auditioning is to read your script. And if you feel a dramatic pause makes sense, great, leave it in. But then re-record the audition without the dramatic pause and listen back and see which one makes sense, which one sounds better, which one sounds more professional. And the vast majority of the time, I think you'll say, yeah, you know what, as good as the dramatic pause sounds, it does sound better without it. So once again, it comes back to connecting your words. There's a third instance where voice actors tend to have pauses, unnecessary pauses, and that is called a glottal stop. That is when you unintentionally pause before words that begin with vowels. It's sort of a strange thing if you've never heard of it, but let me repeat. A glottal stop is when you unintentionally pause before words that begin with vowels. And so if you listen back to your recordings, you'll probably find that very often when there is a word that begins with a vowel, you have a little hesitation before that word. So work hard on smoothing out the words or connecting the words together. And that is something that I really focus in on when I train voice actors. So if you think you're choppy in any regard and possibly losing auditions because of it, I would take advantage of our coaching sale and take a session with me. I'll be happy to help you through that.
Awesome. We love the variety of styles of questions. So this is all great. Oh, and actually, I think John Copeland is asking, David was segueing into this. I've been a voiceover talent for 30 years and have always tried to keep up with trends. Is the new millennial Upspeak and that's me and heavy glottal stop delivery the new thing?
No, I would not. No. So let me first explain what Upspeak is. It's when you take the last word of a sentence or of a phrase, in fact, and you end it uh, um, on an increasing or a higher pitch than the previous syllable. So a sentence ends like this, if that makes sense. This is called upspeaking. It almost sounds like a question, like you're not really sure what's coming up next, or like there's more to follow. And it's a classic Valley Girl type of speech. If you remember Valley Girls from the 1980s, it was really funny once. I was at a restaurant somewhere, and I heard a family, and they had a daughter who was probably in her teens somewhere, and the daughter was up speaking every sentence. They were sitting right next to our table, and it drove me bonkers. Everything she said was like this, you know what I mean? And everything went up at the end of the sentence. And at one point, I heard the mom say to the daughter, I don't know why everything goes up at the end of the sentence. When you talk, it's really annoying, you know, and the mom was doing it, but telling the daughter how annoying it was. And I had to bite my lip to not turn around and say, Mom, you're doing the exact same thing. Upspeak is absolutely a very very street type of speech. It's very like I said, Valley Girl. It's a real style of speaking out there, and and as most of you know, and possibly all of you know, sounding realistic at the microphone is key. But most of the time, it does not translate into voiceover. There are a few scripts that you'll get when the client says, "We really want this to sound real," sort of like a Valley Girl, but that happens rarely. So even though Upspeak has become and has been, I should say, a sort of a common street way to speak, most of the time it is not used in voiceover. Same with glottal stops. Occasionally they might be used for expression, but otherwise, no. I would not load up your demo with this style.
Yeah, I as a millennial, I've trained with Johnny Heller, and he was very much like, we got to sort out some of your millennial vocal fries. My people, I know I will have people who have been there too, and it's a challenge that we're all facing, and that's all right.
Yeah, and vocal fry is up there with the intentional glottal stop and upspeak, right? If you guys know what vocal fry is, it's when the trailing end of a sentence or of a phrase becomes very raspy, like this. And yeah, that is, again, it's a common way that people speak out there, but most of the time it is not used in the industry. If a client wants it, they will typically specify that they want one of those styles.
So I'm going to try to combine two folks because Tiffany London and David Marcus, hi you guys, they have questions about voices.com and voices 1, 2, 3. So basically, the first question is, can I be on voices.com with a DIY demo, with a demo that is made yourself? So let's start with that one, actually, David. I think you can.
Yeah, I mean, anyone can use a demo they've made themselves. It's more than likely it's going to hurt your chance of getting hired than help you, unless it is absolutely professional sounding, unless it is on par with the other voice actors out there, then it will do you more harm. Because if a client is looking to hire someone, they're going to base their casting upon the quality of not just your audition, but also of your demo. So even if they like your audition and then before hiring you, they listen to the demo, which is pretty typical, they're going to say, you know what, maybe he or she got lucky on one audition, but the quality of their demo is not that great. And so I won't certainly have the trust or the faith in this particular voice actor. So I would not use a homemade demo unless you're the one in a million who can produce a demo on your own. Someone's phone. I have come across like 2 or 3 instances sorry, let me say this differently. In 31 years in this industry, 2 or 3 times have I come across a voice actor who put together a demo on their own, and it sounded pretty professional, quite professional. We're talking, I must have heard hundreds of thousands of demos over the years, and that's without exaggeration. You know, I listened to, I don't know, 20, 30 a day. You do the math, and I work virtually, 7 days a week. You do the math. Someone can do the math and hold up a number. Say 25 demos a day times 365 days a year times 31 years. You tell me how many demos I've listened to, and I've heard it done twice, maybe 3 times. the chance that you can really produce a true professional sounding demo, meaning the right copy, the right spots for your voice, the music, the mixing, the processing. I think a DIY demo is not optimal.
So the next question from David is, what are your thoughts on some of the other pay-to-play sites? Voiceovers.com, Bodalgo, VioQuint.
Yeah, so I don't call them pay-to-play, even though that's what a lot of people refer to them as. I call them online casting sites. Someone's holding up a number. 282,000. I have heard 282,875 demos. I think when I get to 300,000, I'll have to like party or something. I don't know what to do. I'm not even the partying type. That's a lot of demos. I'll calculate out when I'll get to 300,000. It might be like in a year or so. Cool. Thanks for doing the math. So the online casting sites, they are all essentially doing the same thing, right? They're matching you with a client who needs to hire your voice, or as I should say, they're matchmaking you, the voice actor, and the client who is looking to hire a voice actor. And so you have to find the one that's right for you, or join them all, or join a subset of them. It's nothing different than a dating site that essentially does the same thing, right? Matches two people, but they all just operate differently. And you have to figure out which one is best for you. In this industry, there have been hundreds and possibly 1,000 times that someone has said to me, one particular site works super well for them and the others are a waste of their money and a waste of their time. And for every person who says something like that, I get someone else who says the complete opposite. There are all different rhymes and variables and reasons that one site will work for one person and not for someone else. Some of these sites are lower paying on average, some are higher paying, some are more focused on international work. So just do your homework, or and study them. But they all do the same thing. They really do. And I know the owners of just maybe everyone, if not most of them, and they're all good, and they're all working hard to bring you auditions. The owners are really working hard to make sure that you get good auditions in your inbox every day. So they can all work. You can be successful on any of them for sure.
Okay, so James Lewis, I'm gonna skip your question because I feel like we talked about voiceover demos and whether they need to be fully produced. So a couple of tech questions. The first one from Osaya, I think actually. Hi, Osaya. Do I need noise reduction software?
No. There's an easy answer. I mean, you shouldn't have to rely on noise reduction software. You should have a recording area that doesn't have any extraneous noise in it. But if you are recording in a room and there is some noise and you can't get rid of it and there's nothing you can do, well, then you better get rid of that noise through processing. So there's some software out there that can eliminate some noise. Sometimes you can EQ out some noise, especially if it's very low-end rumble noise. But ideally, you record and it's just a clean recording to begin with. So the less processing, the better.
Hi, Bob is asking about the cheapest yet best microphone to get to start off with for an HP computer, because he doesn't have any audio set up yet.
Yeah, that's a little hard to answer because you buy a microphone based upon the qualities of your recording area and based upon the genres that you're recording and how the microphones react to your voice. So if you're recording promos, you may want a more direct microphone, like a shotgun microphone. If you're recording audiobooks, you may want a more open face microphone. If you're recording in a room that has lots of echo, you definitely need more of a shotgun or a direct pickup pattern. I mean, there are different microphones for different applications. So for me to tell you what microphone I suggest would be ludicrous because I don't know the sonic qualities, the audio qualities of your recording area. I don't know the type of voiceover that you are recording. I don't know what your voice sounds like. I don't know if it's a big bassy voice, a thin voice. So I can't answer that. I will tell you that USB microphones have come a long way, and there are some USB microphones that I have done some tests with. Our engineers have at Edge that cost $150 and $200, and they sound fantastic. I think that these days the quality that you produce is more to the qualities of your booth than the quality of the microphone to a large degree. So in other words, if you have a $5,000 microphone in a bad sounding room, you will sound bad. But if you have a pretty inexpensive microphone in a good sounding room, you can sound very good. So don't just go by price. So, if price is important to you, certainly look at some of the lesser expensive microphones, but don't assume that that they will be the right microphone choice for you. Because if the lesser expensive microphone is not right for your voice or your room, it's not going to sound good, and you won't get work anyway. So that's all I can offer to that question.
I'm gonna take. Okay, I just want to say, Bill Lord, it's great to see you, and also your ever-changing backgrounds are very delightful. And thanks for keeping us entertained. David says hi, and Bill is asking, can you share a tip or two about what it takes to differentiate my audition from the hundreds of others that the casting director has to listen to? How can I stand out? What a great question.
Start by saying free lunch if you hire me. I would say one of the best things you can do is really add personality to your read. And adding personality is not just your natural voice, that's part of it, but also sometimes some vocalisms if it makes sense. So for example, if there's a commercial for a Domino's pizza or something, maybe at one point in there you throw a little like a little yum sound in there, a little vocalisms that just make it sound real, that add personality, very often win over the clients. Because most of the time the client is looking for a voice actor who has a personal touch, who sounds real, like a real person. And a lot of voice actors are so stuck on following the words verbatim in the script, and they focus so much on the direction that the client has given, like, for example, read at this speed and emphasize this word, that they no longer infuse their own personality. They get so caught up in the thinking of this that their own, like I said, their personality is just not heard. So you want to show your personality as much as possible. That's what I would suggest.
I have a question from Demetra, who is asking, I think, David, you might understand this question better than I am. Could you please give us an idea about prices of VO services? Like the jobs that new VO talents are most likely to get, how much do clients pay, and could you give some examples? So I think you're asking about what kinds of things you're applying, like what kinds of things you're submitting to, what should be the price ranges that you're looking to get. I see you, Bill, with your Tiger King over there. But so, yeah, David, do you think you can kind of grapple that question?
No, because there are so many different genres that you may be going into. I don't know what you specialize in. I can give you some thoughts though, some general thoughts. Like, I'm not going to give you prices, but some thoughts are let me think how to organize this information for you, because my mind is going like 20 different places at once with this question. It's a really interesting question. I guess one thing to consider is, do you want to come off looking to a client like you are brand new, and therefore you're offering a less expensive price? Or do you want to come off to a prospective new client, looking like you've been there, done that, you've been working for 30 years and have a higher rate? So that's one consideration when you begin your business. And interestingly, with the online casting sites, the client generally doesn't know if you're brand new to voiceover or not. Like, it's interesting about the online casting sites is, in some ways, every voice actor is on a level playing field, and so that's helpful for some and unhelpful for others. But there's the concept of so second concept here would be offering a new client discount, which I've seen some voice actors do. Similarly, like a volume discount, but I'm new client and like to give 50% off or 20% off the first time. I'm one to not personally think that that is the best idea. I think a client should hire you for what you're worth, but it is certainly a marketing tactic. In terms of what to charge, here's the third thing to know. There are so many different ways to charge in this industry. Some voice actors charge their clients by the completed hour, meaning if I supply you with an hour of audio, this is how much I charge, regardless of how long it took me to record that hour. Just like, for an example, a painter may charge you a certain price to paint your room, regardless of how long it takes the painter to paint your room. Some voice actors charge by the word, some charge by the prompt, some charge by the project. So there are different charging protocols, I guess I would use. On our website, we have a rate card, and that rate card is broken down into about 25 different genres. And within each genre, we give you ideas of, for example, in this genre, maybe it's documentary or corporate work or commercial work, whatever it might be, it is pretty customary to charge by the hour or by the word or by the finished project and so on. And here's what a newer voice talent may expect to get from a client. So you can look at the rate card on our website, and that might be helpful. We are updating that as we speak, and that new rate card will be out with our new website, which hopefully will be out in a month or two. And but I think that's as far as I can go with that question right now.
I have a question from Deborah. Oh, okay. A marketing question, and I don't know if this is something we can actually answer. She's saying, what can you tell me about the ACM talent voiceover representation? I don't know if that's something we can answer.
No, that I would not.
Because we don't know. But good luck.
Sorry to leave you like, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to speak for or on behalf of anyone but ourselves, except that we love everyone and want everyone to succeed, and definitely encourage you to reach out and work with folks. From Barry, hi David. I like this question. What kind of editing platform or software do you recommend? Is Pro Tools necessary, or is Audacity or something similar sufficient?
Working through your questions backward, yes, Audacity is absolutely sufficient. Audacity is free, it works great. Anytime you go with a software that is commonly used in the voiceover world, I think you're doing fine, because there are tutorials out there. So if you get stuck on something, you can always go to YouTube and find a tutorial. Also, the voiceover community in general is so helpful to one another, even though you guys are all competitors. It's amazing that if you get stuck on Audacity and you can't figure out how to do a certain type of processing or editing or something, you can ask a question to a voiceover social forum, and more than likely you'll get some great responses from your competitors, which means everyone is helping each other out, which is great. Camaraderie is amazing here. Your previous question regarding Pro Tools is great. It's an amazing piece of software, but it is generally way overkill for a voice actor in a home studio. It offers a whole lot, but Audacity and many of the other DAWs out there, and let me segue, DAW is an acronym, or an initialism. DAW stands for Digital Audio Workstation. A DAW is the recording platform or the software, and like Audacity, there are lots of them out there, Twisted Wave and Reaper, and there's just so many of them out there these days. And they all will get you as far as Pro Tools. They will do everything that Pro Tools would do for you. Pro Tools just goes above and beyond, and you probably don't need it. At Edge Studio, we use Pro Tools in every one of our recording rooms because we are mixing multiple voice actors and music and sound effects and video and all sorts of things. But you're not doing that. You don't need the kind of processing power that we need. So I think you're totally fine with Audacity, which is free, or any of the $50 or $100 programs out there.
And we have
by the way, I would take each one for a little test spin, right? Download the free trial if they offer a free trial for a week or something, and